Hey everybody! Today we are going to be learning how to design the Murakami flower that you learned about in art class. Mr. Razio and I got together and decided to come up with a way we could combine art and technology, and she told me all about the Murakami flowers that you guys were creating. I thought it looked really cool, so I decided to figure out how to do it using CAD design, and it took me a while to come up with a good strategy, but I came up with a pretty decent one. Okay, I've come up with several different versions. Some are better than others. I'm going to show you how to make a pretty basic version of it, and I hope you enjoy the lesson. So the first thing I did is I studied the Murakami flower online, looked at some of the pictures, looked at the colors, and I counted the amount of petals. So I saw that there were 12 flower petals, and I realized also that it made a complete circle. So I don't know if you've ever heard, but I know that in geometry in fifth grade, you'll learn that there are 360 degrees in a circle. But you may have already heard it, like if you were riding a bike or you're skateboarding and someone might have said, oh, I want to do a 360. And that means go around in a full circle. So you may have already heard that. So there are 360 of these degrees in one full circle. So I divided that by 12 because there were 12 petals, and I got 30 is my answer. So I knew each petal had to represent 30 degrees of the circle. So here's how I started. I started kind of like we did our snowflakes in the beginning of the year. I made a line, a 1 by 100 by 5. Okay, so that's 1 is the length or the width. And then we have it going 100 deep in the back. And then it's 5 millimeters high. Okay, so I'll just show that here. 1, 100, and 5 going up. Okay, so I started with that. I clicked on it. I looked at it kind of from above. Okay, so working your angles are going to be very important for this. I placed it kind of in the middle, and I looked at it from above, and I hit my duplicate button or Control D, whichever you'd like to do, and I gave it a 30-degree turn. Okay, and don't click off of it because now you can just do duplicate, 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 duplicate. That's our duplicating trick. So each one of these openings is 30 degrees. So I grouped that so that now I can move it. Okay, I don't really want to raise it, but I can move it around the page if I need to. And if I want, I can bring it closer to here to work with. I can do whatever I'd like. I can move it around. So that was like the frame of my Murakami flower. But then I also realized that when you look at the flower, the petal is directly in the middle on the top. And when I look at my frame, I have a line there. So I went ahead and I adjusted about 15 degrees. Okay, so that the opening on the top was directly there for a flower, okay, for a petal. So then I started to figure out, well, how am I going to make a petal? So I went over here and I started looking at shapes, and I came up with a green roof and a round roof. So this seems what the students are telling me in class. This seems to be the hardest part. Okay, so I'm going to move my frame out of the way for a minute. And so if you think of this as the peak of a roof, okay, this part is the peak. All right, so we have this part here as our peak. We need this to come forward. So you grab here and you rotate 90 degrees so that the peak goes that way. Okay, now you're also going to notice that it's stuck under the ground now. So you're going to want to grab that triangle and raise it up back to 0 so it's now sitting on the work plane. So that's all we've done is we've rotated it that way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the height to 5. Okay, and this is going to be the basis of our petal. I'm going to bring my frame back over, and I am going to look at it from the top, and I'm going to try to get my triangle to about where the tips touch the frame. About right, it's kind of hard to do, but about right there. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's okay. Now you click on it and you zoom in and you're going to look for this black piece right here. And you're going to bring that down as best you can. So I'm a little off, but I'm going to compensate by pulling it a little forward. And then I'm just going to just adjust it a little bit. Okay, you can adjust it a little wider like that. Okay, that should make up for it. All right, and then I'm going to bring over my round roof and I am going to rotate that this way, 90 degrees. Okay, it's also going to be stuck under the ground, so you can raise it up and then lower it to 5, the height, and then bring it over and let's attach it here. Now, because I adjusted my triangle, you're going to have to adjust this a little bit too. And that's where I'm just going to pull this out a little bit like that. Okay. Now I'm going to get rid of my frame right now. Okay. And now I have a nice, looks like an ice cream cone. All right. So I'm going to group these. Okay. There's my pedal. Now I don't need the frame anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. Because what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to click on this. Now this is a complicated duplicating move because not only am I going to rotate it, but I'm also going to use my arrow keys to place it, and then I'm going to do the duplicating trick. So kind of watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to leave it where it is, and I'm going to turn it 30. And I'm going to let go. Now I'm not going to touch anything except for my keyboard. Now I'm going to move my flower with my keys. I'm using my arrow keys. And I want to get it to touch as best I can. And if it overlaps a little bit, that's okay. Once it's in a position, I'm going to do Control D again and again and again and again and again and again and one more time. And then you kind of have your flower petals. Pretty symmetrical. The 30 degrees was pretty accurate. There's a little bit of overlap, but that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? So now it's time to, before you group this, change the colors. So look at our Murakami flower and let's try to change the colors. Okay, so I'm going to go back here and I'm going to look for a pink. Okay, that's a pretty good pink and it matches up pretty well. Okay, I'm going to click here, go check my flower. It looks like a nice red orange. So I'm going to look for a nice bright orange. I'm going to use the color wheel. Custom. Yeah, there it is. Nice red orange. Okay, then it looks like a traditional light orange. So I'm going to click on the third flower, click here, and go back to presets, and I'm going to click that one. Okay, go back and check. Now it looks like a dark yellow. So I'm going to go to presets, or I'm sorry, custom, and look for a darker yellow. Almost like a gold. So you can move this and then you can find this over here. This one's a hard one to find. Let's go back and look at it again. Yeah, there's not much difference between these yellows. Like this one looks like a bright yellow. Like that. And this one looks more like a gold. So I have to find a better one for that. Custom. More little orange. There we go. It's a little golder, right? I mean, if you look here, there's not much difference. And then this looks like a lime green to me. I'm going to click here. I'm going to look for that lime green. Okay, that's a little bright. Okay, not bad. And then this one looks like a aqua. So custom, let's go to like aqua color. It's not easy to do this, but this is kind of the fun part. That's a little too blue. Let me look at it again. I have to keep looking at it. Yeah, that's like a bright green. Okay, let's stick with that for now. And then a turquoise for this one, which I believe is a preset. Turquoise, maybe? Yeah, it's like a light blue. And then you have another shade of blue here. Okay, and then you have a dark blue. And then we have a purple. And then we have like a magenta-ish color. All right, so that's pretty close. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can kind of play around with the colors. All right, now it's time to group that right here. Now it'll all turn one color, and you're going to have to go here to solid and then click multicolor right here. Okay, so now it goes back to turning the multiple colors. And then we're going to go over here and pull out a cylinder to use as our face. Okay, now I'm going to adjust the sides here to make it nice and smooth. And I'm going to work on the height or the measurement here. Let's go with 40. And let's obviously shrink down the face like that. We can align it. Click here, align, align. I think it could go a little bigger. 45. I'm just going to type that in. 45, 45. Let's align that again. Here and here. Let's turn this yellow. And let's go take a look at our flower here. Okay. And now time for the mouth and the eyes. Okay, for the mouth and the eyes, okay, I am going to grab a, let's see, I'm going to grab a, sorry, I'm going to go to featured, and I'm going to use this cool extrusion tool to try to make the mouth. Okay, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to attempt to make the mouth by doing this. Now, if you go and study the mouth, you can see it kind of goes up like that. So if you want, make it easy on yourself and use a round roof, you know, and just, you know, rotate it. And then rotate it again this way. (180 degrees) that way. Okay, lift it up off the ground and lower it. I mean, you could use that as your mouth and then just kind of stretch it the way you want it. But if you really want to get technical and you look at it, this mouth has an up and like a curvature on it, and you can try to draw it using this extrusion tool, which is not easy either. Okay, it takes a while to get used to using this extrusion tool. But what's cool about this tool is that you can make different shapes with it. Okay, so like to me, I can make a mouth that way too. So I'm going to just do that. I'm going to take this and bring it over. And what's cool about it is you can still adjust it this way too. You can make it a little wider if you want. You can make it a little bigger. It seems like it had a bigger mouth. You can turn it red. Okay, and of course we have to shrink that down. All right, and then for the eyes, I used cylinders, and I just turned them into ovals. Slide that over, make it smooth, and make this an oval. An oval, I should say. Okay, and what I did is then I rotated it a little, 20 degrees or so, and I turned it black. And I brought it over, and I lowered it in. Okay, not terrible. Let's look at the flower. Okay. And then let's see, let's lower it in a little bit more. And then what I did is I used that duplicating flip trick. So I duplicated it first, then I mirrored it by clicking this, and then it just reverses the angle for you and you can bring it over. All right, so work on that part. And in another video, I'll show you how to add this black border. Okay, so for now, just group that. And if you have this and you'd love to show me, please email it to me. I'd love to see it. The way you should watch this video is you should watch it all the way through once, and then you can pause and then complete a step, unpause, watch the next step, complete it, and then so on and so forth. I hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck making the flower.